Marriage, marriage, marriage. Wow, it's been a fantastic week. We have engaged on this topic. We've had many conversations, many different points of view, everyone talking about marriage. What does it mean? What's making us get into marriage? What's making us not to get into marriage? What's making us leave them early? Last week we had a panel, and the panel from last week was four different single people and one married couple who were on the panel. But this time around, after all the feedback and everyone says, no, we were overcome by these single guys. We have our perspective as well. And turned it upside down. Now we have more married couples, 3 couples on the platform, and, two single people with us. So we've got Shalom and Lennon in Cape Town. Hi. We've got Nigel and Sylvia in Glasgow, Scotland. We've got Numisa joining us from Port Elizabeth, South Africa. Bye.
Yeah.
And yes. And we've got Anel and Luluto Monty in East London. Hi, guys. Then we have got Herbert, of course. Herbert was on the platform as well last week, joining us from Trieste in Italy. Herbert, you were part of this conversation, and we engaged on, how there are different factors that are affecting the way people are making a decision to get married today. And, things that we are considering today when we're making this decision. What were your highlights or your, what you picked up from the conversation from last week?
Well, thanks, Danny. I think the thing is, it was more about people talking about that you should have the same vision, mostly from the guy, actually, not from the ladies. I think ladies were secluded from this, but the guy should have the vision and something like that's what I got. That was not my statement, but something like that. Then they should also have potential. Okay, it's not that they should have the cash now. They can have the cash later. It's okay. So you can be poor and then just talk a lot. If you're good at this, you can get married. And I also grasp the concept that we actually can be in a position that we as the youth, actually, as far as I'm concerned, talking to married people, it's like you're waiting for something to swallow you, like, and then it's not nice at all. Because I said this last week that you talk to married people, they actually literally start complaining how their marriage life is like. And after complaining, they go like, so, hey, bruh, when are you getting married? But, dude, you spend 2 hours complaining about a marriage and you're asking me when I'm getting married. I mean, like, are we supposed to be in the same, this is what I got. And I don't know.
And Numisa,
I want to know the truth.
Numisa seems to be agreeing with you on this one of people complaining and asking you when you're getting married.
Yes, they put the fear of life in you, and then all of a sudden you turn. So when are you getting married? I'm like, after what you just said, not anytime soon.
Or not at all.
Yeah, or not at all. Yeah.
So guys, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Is this true that this is what you married people are doing?
Well, for me, with Lennon, actually, we have been going out more, showing that being married is actually beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. I'm not sure about those people who are just telling people that marriage is a scary monster waiting to swallow you somewhere there. But for me and Lennon, we've been married for 12 years. And we have been actually enjoying our marriage. So for you there, believe you're actually delaying to enjoy some of the things you are enjoying. So come join us and see for yourself.
What are those things that you are enjoying? what are the things that are being enjoyed?
We can't really say we started enjoying from the beginning, because sometimes when you get married, you get married with different thoughts, different ideas. People have been saying that you get married with the same vision. Sometimes it's not like that. Like me and Lennon, when we met, we never had the same vision. But when you start living together, learning from each other, you kind of adapt to having the same idea, to think alike. Of course, first days you struggle, you start like arguing a lot. It's not like you get in and it's like all roses and cherry on top and all that. It's not like that. One
This
year,
is the conversation
yeah.
we have. This one, exact conversation that we have. And after she says this, oh heaven, so when are you getting married? Hey, when you were just saying arguments right now. Why are we supposed to be in this argument?
Let
At
me
this
touch
moment
you
I can
there,
just
Evan.
sleep, you know.
Let me touch you there. It's just like
Yeah.
when you are a youth. If your youth, your journey as a youth is not like rosy all the time. There's lots of things which happen as a youth. You get heartbroken, you get misjudged, and all those things. So it's just like marriage. There is those parts of it in marriage as well. But I feel like the 90% of marriage is more beautiful than the part of being a
Yeah,
youth.
so
I don't know.
so
I like that
so
one.
so yeah, Nigel.
I also wanted to say thanks, Shalom, for pointing out that, because I think it's not a monster. Marriage is not a monster. And I would like to agree with you that, we have taken marriage to be a journey. And I think if we can say to those who are wanting to get in, there's no reason why you need to wait forever. I think you need to jump in, because the more you delay, the more you are doing a disservice to yourself. Actually, even those who say you need to know each other for a long time and stuff, I think sometimes it doesn't always work like that. In our journey, we've been married for 11 years this year. We've known each other for 18 years. And I think even if I can say to you, I know her, that will be a lie. We are still getting to know each other. So having known each other for 18 years, so you can see that, you don't need to wait. In fact, when you wait, you are doing a disservice, because the more you get to know each other, as you get exposed to different contexts in your journey, in your life, in your marriage, you actually discover new things about each other. And then the visioning and stuff will get to fall in as you journey along.
I think that's one tricky part there, because like last week someone was talking about, the one of knowing each other. Someone was saying these days you can get married to someone who's in debt, and you get married in community of property, and all your money is gone. So it's a very delicate one in terms of, how do you now say that, I now know this person, not know them fully, but know them enough to make a commitment to move forward. You find people get married to someone thinking that now we know each other, but it's a huge risk as well.
Yeah, but then I think for me, this idea of marriage for me has always been the idea of love, and also an idea that you are, and like for me and Luluto, we married very young. Both of us, we had nothing. We married being poor, and also we had the commitment of love. And we wanted to be together, not because of we feared, most people, to be honest, Stan, is that they fear love, they fear marriage because of what the other person have said. So we decided, yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we decided to, because we loved each other and we wanted to be together, and also we wanted to use marriage as a space of discovering each other. We don't have much experience. We don't have many years together, but we thought of, we want to be together and we love each other, and we are building assets together now, and so I think the element of fear of what you could lose or what you cannot lose tend to be an impediment for many other people, And
But
also
it's also a reality to other people, right?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. But I think for me, now that we are together, we are doing this YouTube channel, and also we spend much time really talking to one another. about our own expectation and where we want to go and how do we go there. So of course you will forever discover your partner. You will forever fight with your partner. It does not mean that those two things will be absent when you are married. But again, the point of departure should be love, and then the next one should be always be the process of discovering those expectations and explaining to one another where you want to go and how do you assist one another. It's important at some point.
So you have mentioned love, and this was part of the interesting part of last week's conversation, because someone commented on Facebook to say, "You guys, I'm losing hope because I thought marriage is about love, but for almost an hour, no one has spoken about love." So it sounds like it's an investment portfolio that I have to analyze what's in there. But Sylvia, you wanted to say something.
I wanted to say, I think love is a very complicated matter, because I think when you get married, that's when you realize you wake up one day and you're like, this man. And then the following day, you're like, wow, I love this man. Because I think it's with everything. Marriage is like an institution. I'm not saying habit. No, I'm not saying marriage is not good.
You just said it.
No. I just wanted to bring an aspect of love to say, I think on top of love, there's also need for commitment. You should be able to commit to, you know what, I'm in this for good. With everything that you do, if you're starting something, you need to go in wholeheartedly to say, you know what, I'm going to stick this out. Because with everything, there's nothing that is easy in this life. I always tell my 5-year-old son, like, he wants easy things, but life doesn't come like that. So I think it's the same with marriage. You need to put work into it. So I think I would say why we got married. We also got married very young, and it was just the butterflies, and I could not see myself without this man. That's all I was thinking about that time. I was not thinking about the money or anything, or the other things that come with marriage. I remember one time when we had a premarital counseling session with one of the ministers. I think we were really not paying attention. All we were thinking about was like, wow. Like, wait. But then when you go in, then you're like, oh yeah, they talked about finances. They talked about communication. Oh yeah, now you're learning. That's why we take it as a journey. Like we learn. Like with my husband, we've always said, on our anniversary, we go out, we have our little notebooks. And then we're like, oh, this year, your communication was so bad, Nigel. Like, I want you to improve on this. And I want you to, and it really helps. And we promise to, like, you know what? Oh, I thought I was good. You don't justify yourself when it comes to that. So for us, it's a journey, and it's been a beautiful journey, mostly beautiful. That's all.
Yeah. So I think maybe Numisa, you can jump in here and help us. Do you feel like what these guys are saying is what is real in us as young people now, or is what people who are married say in public?
I think it's what they say in public. because I would really love to meet the couples that we have on tonight, like on a daily basis, you know. I think they are out of the 9. Someone mentioned something about 90% of marriage is so beautiful, etc. I think maybe I've been meeting the 10% or all my adult life. So I think for me, when I think of marriage and the discussions that I've had with people before, some of them initially say, if I knew what I know now back then, I would never have gotten married. And I see the reasons why. And I do believe in love. I am a hopeless romantic, but I wouldn't marry for love. No.
Yeah, and I think this is now, you know, where we get real, right? And that's why I asked that question, to say, because I've realized it's excuse this example, but it's like an example of, say, abuse, right? Most people, that when you hear about that they were abused, they speak about it in closed doors to people that they're close to. But when they're out there, after they've abused each other, when they're out in the public, it's like it's all rose. And that's why at times you realize now, when people go separate ways, it's like, what? These guys, they were perfect couple.
Maybe you can say something.
That is true.
I think I also agree with you, Steny, on that part. I mean, I'm very close to quite a few of my married friends, and they tell me some of this. Some of them are really living okay. Probably I wouldn't say not that many of them, of course. A few of them, and then some they're like, I wish I was you, my friend. I mean, the thing is, the whole love aspect, especially when you're young, it's more about the butterflies, I guess. This is very true. And the feelings going up and down, and then tomorrow you see another cute guy. No, I don't love this one. I love that one again. So this is really kind of a definition of love. So I think it was mentioned also in the previous thing. But I also believe that love should last. So the thing is, I do not understand those who are married today. Tomorrow they're fighting. There's violence. There's abuse. Why would you abuse someone you love? I mean, I don't want to cook for you. Why wouldn't you want to cook for your husband if you love them? I mean, every mother, if they love them, I mean, this love that you talk about, the love that I know, the love of Christ. And I don't want to cook for him. I don't want to do this. I don't want to give you money. She must suffer. So where? The things that we are exposed to are the things that make us feel like it's a monster waiting for us to do. And then the things that someone actually just vanishes with someone's money, but it was only the hands of money, of love, and all these things that happen that are bad, really make you wonder and say, do I really want to do this or do I not? Not that I don't believe in it. I really do believe in it. It's just that if only I was doing it with I'm a Christian, if I was doing it with Christ, or maybe I would do it in Christ, of course. But the person I'm doing with is usually a suspect.
So someone Vimbai says on Facebook, Herbert, who are your friends?
But I am just saying.
because I think I will tell you why I think this point is important. Her question is important. Because I think she's beginning to think I'm one of your friends. Is this one of the things I said to you in private? But let's go ahead, Lisa. Yeah.
I just wanted to mention that sometimes you find that individuals are quite pressured by what everyone outside the marriage thinks. And you find that some of the decision making that is done by one partner is as a result of influence, maybe from friends or people whom you've actually confided in, and they tell you, no, you better do this and this and that, and that sometimes leads to one party or one partner not treating the other that well or that fairly, and it kind of also then ends up being you are like cheated on the commitment level, because one party will be giving 100% commitment, whereas the one is like wavering. I'm here 40, on a good day I'm a 60.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just jump in there. I agree with what Lisa is saying. I would say when you get married, I mean, the most important thing, first thing that you need to do is to commit yourself. You need to go. I remember when we went for our marriage counseling, we were told there's nothing like 50-50. There is 100-100. So everyone has to put 100% of whatever they're coming in with in the marriage. So when you go into marriage, they said there's a lot of things that comes into play. There is commitment, there is love, there is sacrifice. You need to sacrifice a lot of things, especially when it comes to things that I used to do as a boy. there's certain things that I will need to leave. I'll tell, for example, for myself, I'm a soccer fan. I'm a soccer lover. When we got married, I never used to miss any soccer match in when I was in Zimbabwe. And she would complain.
I hated
She would
soccer.
say, "So why did you marry me then? Why did you marry me when you know every Sunday you're going to Faro Stadium and watching game, or you're going to National Sports watching game?" And then later on, I realized, okay, this is actually true. So what we did is we sat down and we started discussing about this, and we said, okay, whatever you like. I'm not a movie fan. She loves movies, so I grew to learn what she loves, and she grew to learn what I love. And then by so doing, I mean, even if I put a soccer match, we watch together and we are doing. And also, there is certain things that comes when it comes to problems. Like what Herbert was saying. People out there are saying marriage is like this, marriage is like that. You also need to have people that you speak to, and that people that will teach you when you are in a marriage, because it's not all about you. It's also, you need to know what other people are doing, how other people are doing it. We know there's also a lot of people that are out there that won't tell you the good side of marriage.
Yeah.
But above all those things, a lot of things that come into marriage is always good. And
So
because there is always positivity when it comes to marriage. That's the reason why we got married. Otherwise, we could have been at our family, our parents' places. So when you get married, it's something.
Yes, I agree
So-
with you on that part, but I think couples have now become like the government. They are very good in public speaking. In real sense, talk to them. They really say things that you're like, that guy.
okay, Herbert,
Got
Herbert,
it.
yeah. So yeah,
You're good.
Sylvia, you were saying?
I'm saying we're going to visit Herbert in Italy.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
are we going to invite him over so that he can
Yes.
stay with us for a month?
Scotland is about 2 hours.
Yes, that's
I'm
why
honored.
you're not
Please.
far.
So let's hear, because we understand. Sorry, Nigel. Luluto and Anele, they've got a newborn. Congratulations, by the way. That's why Luluto is leaving and coming back. But I think Luluto is losing out on the conversation and she's not getting an opportunity. So let's.
I actually got what you guys were talking about, just a grasp. For me, I just want to quickly stop. I like what Herbert is saying, but I would want to disagree at some point. No, wait.
Thank you.
I'd like to disagree at some point. The reason why I'm saying this, marriage it's quite a very dynamic ministry. I'm going to say this from the point of Christianity, but I don't want to really focus on that, since I want to be practical about things so that people could really understand what marriage is. For me personally, I want to allow people into the space of understanding. First of all, when I got married to my husband, I don't know if he mentioned with you guys, our finances at that time were not okay, but we wanted to be with one another. I was eager in spending the rest of my life with this guy, which I loved. But I fully understand that love is not enough. Commitment is not enough. I think getting into marriage, you first need to know who you are, because you cannot identify yourself when you are in marriage. You need to identify, because the reason why conflicts begin to interfere in the relationship, it is merely because one has gotten into this relationship without even understanding who they are, their background, what they lack and what they don't lack. And I understand there are so many people who would come into a relationship saying, no, let's fix each other. You must come as a 50-50, or you are my better half. That for me personally is something that is ridiculous. You need to come as a whole. You need to be an established person. Personally, for me, I knew that even though I was very young, I knew that I would never date a broken guy, because basically I'll come home thinking that I need someone that's going to give me the love and share with me my journey. But I knew that I never wanted to get married to a guy that's going to make me lose my self-esteem. You know, I just did it recently. I just did a video about 4 different guys that I have found that are in society as a whole. And I was looking that there are different types of men or guys, I could say, where you meet a boy. This person is a man, but the way that they act like a boy. And you get a person who is going to be a victim. Now, this type of a person is very strenuous in a way that instead of you having to focus on building a future for you guys, but now the relationship is going to be more of you having to be a psychology to this person. And then you get to meet another person. Let's say, for instance, now this type of an individual is actually a mama's boy, where you have to fight your way through, trying to show this person, hello, I'm here. So you're not enjoying the relationship and developing as a couple, but now you have to find the mother of this guy. And what happens now? This conflict will get between you and your husband because you're trying to keep yourself too much. And unfortunate thing, because you're not supposed to be even trying to prove a point. That's the reason why I'm saying you need to get into a relationship. If you want to speak about marriage, there's a whole difference. And I know that the pastor can maybe agree with me. I'm not a professional psychologist, but I personally know that before you even go to the next step, there's a difference between a relationship, which is the dating phase, and then when you move to marriage.
Yes.
And marriage is not a child's play. I, for one, married for less than 5 years, but I can tell you it is work. Work in, work out. There is no thing such as I'm having an ad break. I'm a bit break all the time. And you know what? The reason why sometimes, let's say, for instance, couples get to a point whereby they have these discomfortable conversations where they are now fighting over certain things. It's because sometimes we get too comfortable in knowing this person. Now they're no longer exciting because you yourself have literally stopped being the person. Remember when you're trying to pursue a relationship, you do everything, you give out your all and all that. But now you get into a relationship. Now Ululuto no longer wears the nice sexy clothes that she used to put on. She no longer now puts the makeup. Now when my husband is looking at me, he doesn't see me, but he sees a skeleton. He doesn't see that that's not the Luto that I used to be before.
Wow,
you need to catch up with the flow. Go with the flow. Go with the flow.
That's quite a mouthful that came from Lulu to the end. On the not putting on the nice clothes, and especially with this lockdown, I've heard a lot of men when they gather their platforms complaining to say, these people when they're out there, they're looking so good, but in this lockdown 24/7, things are not well.
We take off our wigs and just lay down and sit with no complications of makeup on our face.
I wanted to comment on what Anele said about knowing yourself. And I want to agree and also partially disagree in that, there is, I believe there's a level of knowledge of yourself that is needed when one, or as one gets to be ready for marriage. But also, I'll give our own example. We got married in Zimbabwe, which is a different location with different challenges and stuff. And we immediately moved to South Africa in Pretoria, which is a different place altogether. And what I'm trying to point by this different locations is that there is a level of knowledge of self that is required. But you cannot really get to a point, in my view, get to say, you need to 100% know yourself, because things change, context change. And as you get exposed, that's why we love the journey narrative, or a journey way of putting it, to say marriage is a journey. The reason why it's important is, before we got married, we never knew how it is like and how she would react or how I would react when I lose a baby, for instance. So basically you get to see that in that, when you experience that, or when we experience losing a baby, it was a different platform altogether. We had never lost one before. When I lost my father, for instance, she still has a father. That is a different game altogether, and you begin to rediscover yourself. And in that case, then you can only fall back on saying, now that this is a new thing with us exposed to this together, how do we react now? And I think when you look at fights, people get in. You also mentioned, Anele, that, or others mentioned something about, you need to get in and you both give 100%. And I think I would want to suggest that sometimes we don't give 100%, all of us. Sometimes I give 20% and she gives in 80. And a different day she gives in 90 and I give in 10. That's the journey, and that has been, for instance, our journey. Where one day you are very strong, another day you are very weak, depending on what you're experiencing at work or wherever you are. So with that, I think, getting back to what Anele and others said, yes, there's a level of knowing yourself and knowing what you believe and what you stand for. But it can go so far. That's why many people are breaking down in marriages, because what the Nigel that I used to be before I got married, before I didn't know how it is to wake up next to someone without makeup and stuff. When I do, how do I react? It's something different. And the level of love also changes as well, and it becomes, the butterflies become something else. So I think,
and I like this conversation is becoming a roller coaster. It's becoming emotional, and it becomes exciting. It becomes spiritual. It's going in all areas and angles. Now, maybe we'll start with you, Lennon. There's an issue of the financial implications of marriage. How did you experience it in terms of your financial position before and after, having a partner, being alone, having extended family? Because this is one thing that also came up even last week, and people have spoken about in terms of finances play a huge role.
Okay, thank you so much, Dan. I would say is what I would say is when it comes to financial implications, when you're getting into marriage, I think it's not supposed to be a stumbling block when you go into marriage, because the first thing that you need to do is to love each other, and then the financial comes into play. And then when you go into marriage, now you need to sit down and see how best you can deal with this as a couple, as people who are married. When it comes to the extended families, yes, for myself, I would say I've never experienced that where I need to be financially giving on the other side, or any other side. Even my parents, we just had to agree that whatever we do from one side, we also do from the other side, just to give it a 50-50 a share. If I don't give, then we don't give both, because you don't want, when it comes to one of those days when we have a small fight, and those things will come out, and then I will tell you, but I gave your father this, and then what now? Yes.
So there on that one, that is regardless of how empowered the different families are.
Yes.
What I mean is you.
Not really in a way, because remember, there are some situations whereby, like, let's say maybe my parents get sick and they really need funds at that moment, and my parents are very well, they're healthy and all that. We actually do send to them because they need to use the funds there and there. Or maybe my father do have a house already and they don't have anything. We need to build at their side. We can't build two houses at my side and yet we are still struggling for their side.
So I have a question. A very good question. So I need to ask this question. So you would want to do 50-50 just so that when the argument comes, or you really want to do this? Just
Okay. When I say 50-50, it's not about.
I'm just saying, like, so that
I'm just
you are
saying,
trying to avoid the argument, saying, I gave your
no.
father and what, or just really want to
No. Not in that sense. What I'm trying to say is,
yes.
It's something that comes. It's natural. It's something that comes up as a married couple. You know, it's not like you have to expect it to happen. I'm saying when it comes to that point, you don't want to have that argument where you have to say, but I always give your parents. Why can't I do that to my parents? And then when it comes to that moment, for us, I would say for us, we agree that no matter the financial situation on both sides, if we agree that we're going to do this every month or after every second month, it has to be on both sides, regardless of argument that are going to come or never gonna come. We're going to do that. I think that's where we manage to build our foundation, and also she will know that if we don't have, there's nothing. It's for both of us. If we have, then there's nothing.
Does this make sense, Numisa?
No, not at all. I'm actually trying to understand it. Like, have you met a black African mama? Like my mother. I'm just thinking. If my husband tells me, okay, this is what we're doing, and I now need to go back home to explain this to my mom. I don't
Why
think.
would you explain it to your mother? Why do you need to explain it to your mother? I think a relationship is between two people. When parents are now coming to who your marriage, whereby you're going to say, I'm going to give you $50 and I'm going to give $50 them, then there is a problem already.
But today's marriages, that's how it is. That's what I've seen. So
I'm wondering which marriages have you seen?
That's what I'm saying. I need to be exposed to more of these couples.
I think though on Numisa's point, I think part of what is leading to this nowadays, and it's a reality, right, is that let's take someone like Numisa. You run your own business. She's got an accounting firm in PE and all that, right? Her parents should be already taking care of her parents because she's still single. Her parents know all her financial position. Her parents know maybe they depend on her, or I'm just making assumptions here. Maybe they depend on her, or maybe she's sending her siblings to school and things like that. Now is the challenge of when she gets married to just walk away. And I think maybe that's where that, maybe she's been working and running a business for 10, 15 years. So it's not a matter of all of a sudden, I don't say anything to you.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. And it is really coming from that, because these things, as much as in my mind or in my relationship with my future husband, we would have an understanding, and I will be for that understanding. But I need to now go report to the individuals that I may have been supporting, or things are now going to change. And it does actually create a certain feeling amongst the parents towards the future husband, because there'll be feelings of, people tend to catch feelings about everything nowadays. So that's what I'm trying to avoid, because I want them to meet this future husband and take them as their own son. However, it's a very difficult position to be in, and one that I'm not looking forward to.
Okay.
Anele, I cut you short.
Sorry.
I wanted. I think I wanted.
Sorry, Anele. So what I'm trying to say is, when it comes to these marriages, there's a little bit of different dynamics that comes within the marriages. If I talk on my side, and then I'll say, okay, this is what we're gonna do. And now, if I listen to what you just said now, like what Stanley said, that you have an extended family that you already supporting, and then your future husband come into play. And then I know before you get married, you guys are going to sit down. This is my baggage. This is what I have. He will tell you his side. This is also my baggage. This is what I have. And then you need to come to a point where you guys will say, okay, with my baggage, are you going to take me with what I have? Because I love you. I know you love me, but with what I've been doing, I cannot stop supporting my family because of 1, 2, 3, or because I need to do that, or because they took me to school and this is where I am. I'm not going to stop that. It's an understanding between the two of you. So when you guys understand that, I'm sure your marriage will not even have a stumbling block, because now when he comes in, he knows what's in there, and when you come in, you know what he's got, and then from there you take it further, and then I'm sure you'll be able to understand each other. I don't know if I answered you.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I think that's
I think that is very well said. It's very nice to say it. But practical is quite difficult. The reality of the issue is that is theoretical in its nature, but to take that into practice is difficult. And because now we were 3 hours ago, we were talking about that with my wife. We were sitting at the in my bedroom. We were talking about that. My wife was saying that I'm tired, and you have been sending money to your family birthday. You must send to my mom and my sister and my cousin and everything. So it's difficult, to be honest with you, because even if you say I have this financial obligation before you get married, the reality of the issue, that man or that wife will say, okay, I will support you, but the conflict will always start when you have to actualize that reality. So I don't know what you want to say, baby.
I personally think getting to just adding on. For me personally, the only thing that I always argue about is black tax. Now, I don't know with other races, but from our Xhosa culture, there is this thing called black tax, and I mean, you find that your mother doesn't understand the financial obligations. Anditi, you were first single and you could do anything. Before Anel and I got married, it was easy for him to just send his mother, let's say, 3,000 rand a month. But now, because we've also got a car, we've got a house, we've got other financial obligations which need to be met. Now they need to understand that it's not going to be the same. The money that is sent out, it's not going to be the same. But now, what I always advise my husband is that we need to look at also the necessities. So, for instance, let's say, for instance, if that thing is not something that is like an obligation, is something that we just need to do it like immediately, then I'm sorry, we're not coming. We are not coming. And then, for instance, if we do have extra money and we feel like giving away the money, because money, guys, let's be honest. Let us just be honest. For me personally, and I also want to say this thing of 50-50. My husband knows when he's got a very large family, right? A very large, when I say large family. So they've got a culture at home where they celebrate birthdays in a way that I don't really understand. Maybe I don't understand. Yeah. Let's say, for instance, it's the mother that she's got a birthday, and the mother will then expect, let's say, 2,000 rand. And the father will expect another 2,000 rand, and then the grandchild will expect another 2,000 rand. Do you know what I mean? Now let's count that 2,000 rand by 10, and tell me now what's economical about it. What can be done about that 2,000 rand?
Yeah. So sorry, Luluto. Let's try and minimize the noises, because then we drown Luluto in, because I think Luluto is hitting a nerve. This is what we were talking about. There's the PR of marriage, right? Yeah. And then there's the real part. As you close that point, Luluto, go ahead.
So that's where I actually find the difficulty. And the fact that, let's say, for instance, sometimes my husband, I don't know if you guys do that, the married guys, where now we start this culture of covering up, because Luluto always questions everything. So I'm going to count the money. And then because Luluto is a very smart individual, I will find out. and they will be, whoa. And I mean,
So let's Mr. Nigel, I see that you guys, this seems to have happened to you as well. Yeah, you agree.
You know what? I wanted. This is it's a very, very good topic. I think the good thing, like especially for Herbert, I would like to say it's a good thing that you're getting to hear about all these things before you get married, which is actually good, because I remember for us.
At least it's not the public relations. It's really the real stuff, no?
Yes,
not
you're getting to get the real stuff, but which doesn't mean you mustn't get married. It's just
no. I am really up for marriage. Really.
Yeah,
I'm just tired of lies. No? Tell us
like,
the truth.
Personally, when it comes to finances, I think when we got married, and I was like, he has a big. Is the breadwinner? He's gotta be like his responsibilities are like, hey. So when we got married, I was like, I'm going to be a blessing to this family. Oh, I'm going to bless them and try to do this, try to be the good makoti and all. But then I just neglected my parents. My father still works and he could manage to take care of the family. I just like, they don't need this. So we never had the 50-50 kind of thing. We're supporting the one side. And we're like, okay. And then my father would even spoil us and it was fine. And then I don't know what happened to me. And then one day I woke up and I asked Nigel, but how come you don't do anything for my parents? I was like, why? But and then I was like, because, that's why I'm like, yeah, but it's a good thing you're getting to hear about this before. Because I was the one who said, let's leave them.
Thank you.
My father, he's fine. I was the one who said that. But then now, I wanted him to do it. But now, he was now comfortable. Not looking after he was like, why? It was like a shock. Why all of a sudden? And I'm like, but why not? I also have parents. They send me to school as well as, they need to be taken care of. So when it comes to, I'm with Luluto there. So at the end of the day, what we ended up doing, we said, okay, let's draw up a budget. That's how we ended up the conversation. We said, let's draw up a budget and say, okay, we have done everything that we want to do. This is the money that is left for whatever extracurricular activities that we want to do. If it means extended family, if it's $20, then be it. Are we going to split it half, or are we going to say 5-15? So that's what we ended up doing to avoid some mothers, because if you don't I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Like you said, like your mother, you run a company and then she's used to certain things. When you get married, it's not like it's going to happen like that. You accept. Maybe she will, I don't know, but I don't think it will just happen like that. To accept that, now I'm not going to get this money. And even if you explain, forgive me, but explaining to our Black parents is totally, that according to me, wasting your time. Because I don't get it. They're like, what?
Yep.
But then, what? How come you send your child for swimming? They can even budget for you. They're like, oh no, but you can buy a Range Rover. You can buy this. Now you're telling me. So I don't think explaining is really. It doesn't. It's never worked. It's just up to two of you to say, you know what? We're going to put aside 1,000 rands to do whatever we want to do, and then that's how it ended up working for us.
So what you are saying is what Paul is saying on in short on Facebook. He's saying when you get married, you need a new economic plan that needs to be tabled. That does not be the extended family, and this applies in both ways. And I think, look, at the end of the day, this is the real issues that people are dealing with. But because some people have commented about this a few times on Facebook, just one person who just wants to touch on the lobola aspect, because I think it's also part of the economic aspect of things, to say, maybe I'll come to you again, Mr. so that you give your perspective, then we get, at least from one person who's married.
Yeah.
Would you want someone to pay lobola for you? And what does it mean to you to pay lobola? And then maybe we can also incorporate there, would you pay lobola for yourself? Yeah.
Okay. I wouldn't necessarily pay lobola for myself, but I would want to find out how much lobola my parents would want. Because if it is too much for myself and my future husband, because remember, this money is money going to my parents. And I feel nowadays, today's society, we've attached a certain, because I see even in the chats that someone was speaking about abuse, women abuse and things like that. Lobola has got nothing to do with you purchasing someone's daughter and now they belong to you. You should do as you want and whatever. It is a form of, if you remember why lobola exists or how it came about, it was a way of showing gratitude to the family of the woman and thanking them for raising her in the manner that they have, and also creating, I'm struggling with the English word, but ubudlelwane between the two families. So nowadays, that is forgotten because now it seems as if I am buying. We've monetized it too much. And back in the day, remember, it was in the form of cattle. And because people, we no longer living on small holdings or farms or have a field for this cattle, people have now turned it into rand value, because you'll find sometimes they'll say, okay, 5 cows, and then they'll say the equivalent, the rand equivalent of the 5 cows. Now, going back to saying that I would then negotiate if my lobola was for some reason too high for my future husband to pay at that moment, I would then go back to my parents and actually say, listen, you actually creating a stumbling block for me and my future husband, because you are going to, before we've even gotten married and been able to do anything, my husband now needs to either get a loan or go into debt to cover this money. Can't we reach some form of negotiation? Obviously, this I'd also do it in such a way as to not disrespect my future husband, because if it were to come out to the extended family, then people would also say, oh, so Mumisa wears the pants in the relationship or whatever. But it would be something that I would appeal to both my parents, my mom and my dad, to actually say, consider our economic future going into this relationship with such a hole that first needs to be closed before we can actually start building our own household. So that's how I feel about it.
Wow. One of the married people, you can just quickly maybe give your perspective there.
It's
okay.
I grew up in the rural areas in Zimbabwe, and I think one of the things that was appealing to me as a young boy growing up was how the lobola was understood. I think it was not understood the way it is now, where it's now commercialized. It used to be like this: you would pay whatever you pay, and whatever that you would have paid, some of it was used to give back to you as a starting point for your marriage. And I'll give you quite a good example. Say someone has paid $5,000 in Zimbabwean context. Part of it, you would then get it by your wife getting stuff that she would carry to a new home. And then that would help you. But unfortunately, it's no longer the case. I was fortunate. I got married when I was still doing my 3rd year university. And I didn't have much money. And unfortunately, I had parents who were able to understand. And one of the ways I used was this, maybe for Herbert and Munisa. you could use the same. I said to them, I love this girl and I want to get married to her. And then they said the question was, will you afford? Are you ready financially and stuff like that? And then I said, you know what, I'm ready with love and a sense of commitment. And then when the negotiations came, they went through. But one of the things that my parents said when I'm saying my parents, from their side, my in-laws said to me, you know, are you ready to take? We wanted to take our child to school and things like that. And then I said, Baba and Amai, which is mom and dad, if you want to take her to school, you can still do it when I am with her. And they were part of the journey of our marriage.
I think ultimately what's coming out, Nigel, is you have a good family and good in-laws. You know, I can see from the way people are nodding and confirming that. But I think maybe part of we need to have a session on the economics of lobola. And I think because most of us who are here, because you can see, for example, Paul is commenting to say people have an agenda when they conceive daughters. And Paul has got 2 daughters, right? He only has got girl children. And I can sense that aspect of him, knowing that this is an investment plan for him, which it shouldn't be. But I think we need at some point to have a conversation where we bring especially older people that have had children that have gotten married and the younger ones, and so that we can find that compromise now and understanding. Just, in terms of success, professionally, in terms of hobbies, in terms of, career-wise, academically, how do you think it affects marriage? We'll start maybe with those that are not married yet. And, after that, you give your parting shot. Because why I'm asking this, I've seen people get married. After they get married, they were on a certain trajectory, and then it just dies, right? They were doing great things out there, and then all of a sudden, the person stops. But I've also seen people like Lennon and Shalom that run a lot. I don't know whose vision it is, and I don't know if it's a hobby. These guys run 40 kilometers, 50 kilometers together. I don't know, and I've seen Anele and Luluto, they show you that they are progressing. They have their channel. Anele is studying and all that. How do we think marriage affects our success trajectory and our progress in life? We can start with you, Herbert, Munisa, then we go to the guys. Yeah.
Well, I think if you marry a person who is also driven, it just falls into place, and the person who understands exactly what you want. Well, the point is sometimes men we are sometimes intimidated when women become better than us, and sometimes we try to suppress it. But I think it affects women more, or ladies more, in the sense that they somehow have to have babies, and then they have to carry them, and then all this that affects the whole trajectory in some other way. And if you don't have a supporting husband, you can actually fall back for sure. This is true. And if you don't have a husband who is exposed, or got a little bit of exposure, but it's not really entirely. I mean, you can also help to cook, or you can also help to do these other things that were culturally known to be done by women. This also has an impact, because at the end of the day, you are trying to study, but someone is still waiting for you to cook, of which he can actually cook. Yeah. I mean, it's just given. So if you have it also has to be, someone has to be move with time as well. So as long as they can't move with time, you cannot progress at all, especially on the part of women. They can be suppressed and given reason, one or another, and this is true. I mean, I've seen this.
Yeah. So and Paul says that most married couples don't need editing services. the spouse proofreads your assignment and submit whilst you sleep. I don't know how much.
Yes. Yes, that's very true. That's very true.
Yeah, Numisa.
Well, I agree with what Herbert was just sharing. I really do also just want to add on that in the sense that I find a lot of individuals, when they go into marriage, they tend to lose their individuality in a way, because one might have had certain dreams or desires to pursue a career, or maybe become the next, I don't know, person. And they tend to lose that when they are in the marriage. And it's important not to, because as much as it's now two individuals that have formed one thing, it's quite important not to lose yourself. And then another thing that I wanted to comment on was the fact that what Herbert was mentioning about a supportive partner, the importance thereof. And I really do feel that a majority of the points that we're raising today are things that should have been addressed in the relationship phase, because that's where you actually see, okay, what is the other person's opinion or thought process with them reaching the decision that they've made, and even with support, maybe try and I know with myself, I've actually jotted down the type of husband that I'm looking for, and it would either be someone who is as ambitious as I am, or a very supportive husband. So with the individuals that I do go and date, or am in a relationship with, I often then would test those two things, in the sense, when it comes that I need support, how is this individual reacting? And that's where I see, okay, not going to happen.
Yeah. Wow, that's great. Yeah. Nigel?
Yeah, I think it's quite critical to understand that. I mean, for our journey, we from the onset, we wanted to support each other in terms of careers and stuff. And I think I must say, to be realistic, there are many factors that people underestimate, and sometimes they don't look at in detail as they get married. Sometimes people, when they get married, they relax. They forget that, you continue to develop. You don't end like in just getting to know that, oh, my wife has got, when I got married, she had a degree and that's it. I think it has to be something that is inborn between the two of you, and something that you discuss. And at the same time, they should be, in one way or another, depending on where you stand, you need to have good role models in your life that you look up to, you admire, and that are always like helping you to think about the things that you are not thinking about. Because sometimes, as individuals in marriage, you forget certain things, and sometimes you fall short in so many different ways. But if you do have older people who are there to help you to think about other things, that might help as well, because sometimes you forget that she needs to study. Especially, I mean, when children come, they will change things. They will change the plan. They will change the plans that you initially had. Even if you said in the first place, we wanted to get her to do 1 to 3 degrees or things like that. But I think if you do have people in your life that you look up to and you admire together, that might help. They might help you to think again about certain decisions and things like that. And I think that way, that is the only way we can actually go forward. That is how we have managed.
Yeah, because
Shalom. Yeah, go ahead.
Last year, so 2018, I was in school. I went back to school. I was at University of Cape Town. And it's without his support. So when it comes to it being a stumbling block, or it's marriage helps you to, like, if Nigel wasn't supporting me last year, it was going to be disaster. But he was very supportive with cooking and with our son. He was like, oh.
And editing the assignment?
He was editing my assignment and my thesis.
And clicking the send button.
Yes, you would get the rat. Sometimes I'll be so discouraged and I'll be like, hey, you, because he's the one who did the application. I didn't want to go back to school.
Yeah.
So Nigel,
Yeah.
Nigel, Nigel would lie to my, and like, you've been accepted. I'm like, what? So when it got tough, I just used to say, you know, you applied. But anyway, he's very supportive, and I always tell most of my friends that I don't think academically I would have been where I am today without
Yeah.
him. I would not have known that I love research so much if he had not pushed me. Because when I was in now, I was like, wow, I love this. But yeah, so if you are yoked to the right person, it's not always rosy. I do have friends who are married to people who kind of suppress them, and some friends you knew that these people would go far, but no, nothing has happened in their life. So it depends with the partner, like the person you're married to.
Yeah.
Yes, I actually agree with Nigel and Sylvia. Like when I look at our life here, when I got married, my parents actually couldn't afford to take me to school before I got married. I mean, they couldn't afford me to take me to university. Then I got married to Lennon. Then the kids came along, a job came along, and I was so tired at the end of the day. But he knew that I wanted to go to school. He persuaded me to go back. He actually did apply for me as well. And then when I started going to school, I'm not a good accounting person, but he's so good with money. So he would actually help me with accounting, and I would actually pass most of the time. Then I realized that it's not always about me at the end of the day. What about him? Then I actually sat with him and I told him that you actually need to start to go to school as well. Then we both started going to school, and we help with each other's work. We will sit down, and he helps me with accounting. I help him. He's not a good talker, so and he doesn't like to say it all that. So I actually do that for him. So I think it's more of having a supportive partner as well, who can support your ideas and your vision.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Anele, yeah. Okay.
I just want to add on that. I would say for me, I would say the marriage was actually a success, and is actually still a success. It's still going on. It was a delay.
Let's not Shalom. Let's not bully each other. If it was for him and it's no longer, please allow him.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for correcting me on that. So it's still it was a delay. We just got delayed when the kids came along, but because we had a vision when we started dating throughout the marriage. When we got married, we had a vision that one day we want to do something, and we actually did. And I'm happy to say we walked this and still walking this journey together. And like what Nigel and Xavier was saying, I like the part we say the journey. The journey is so beautiful, and we're still enjoying it. And we're looking forward to many more years. Thank you.
Wow, great. And Luluto, I know you guys are studying, and I know this yeah, you might have something to share on it.
For me, I think when I met Luluto, I was already at the university, and also had a bit of work. I was working as a tutor, So I think both of us we supported each other. I remember when I was also doing my master's. So Luto was giving emotional support and kind of support when I thought that I cannot do this master's, And also I was kind of motivating her to finish her diploma, and also trying to talk about what she wants to do even next year. I know she will study you'll do law next year at the University of Fort Hare. So both of us, I think we supported each other in that regard. Maybe you could say something, baby.
Babes. So for me personally, I'm always a cheerleader. I'm always a cheerleader in the relationship because I think just the part of just being a student, it's very tough. So I need to understand that I'm dealing with a different person, and that's just my personal understanding. It doesn't need to make sense to you guys. So when I deal with my husband, I know that when he comes from work, he comes back, and then I know that he's coming back with work. Right? So I'm no longer going to deal with a husband. I know that I need to first kick out the employer out the house and then deal with my husband. So it's the same thing with his work. I remember when he was doing his master's, there was a point whereby he wanted to actually give up. So I had to take away Anele and bring back the student. So in marriage, I think it's one of those things where you need to play that role, and it just needs you to be just quite creative and just being supportive and understanding the fact that, for instance, when I got pregnant last year, I had a baby. So we both decided that for that entire year, because I knew that I didn't want to put my baby at crèche or whatsoever. So I knew that I was going to let go of everything and not focus on anything for a year. So he needed to support me and understand that, okay, Ululuto now is not going to be doing anything. She's going to be a full-time mother. So there is no expectations of bringing money inside the house. So it's one of those things where you just need to be there emotionally for one another. But as long as you guys know where the goal is, which is the finish line, or if there is a finish line, because I don't think there is a finish line. So as long as you guys just know which direction you guys are heading to, that's the most important thing, I think, for me, if I heard you guys clearly.
Wow, that is great. And thank you so much, guys. This was very insightful experience you've shared. I really appreciate making ourselves vulnerable, opening up, and we hope and believe that, you know, a lot of people will gain from this, learn from this, and, you know, use part of what has been discussed even in their own lives as we continue on this journey of growing our continent of Africa and growing ourselves as young Africans. So thank you so much for everyone who was watching. We'll continue the conversations on, you know, in the comment section. But it has been a great pleasure. It's been wonderful having you guys. Thank you so much. Don't log off yet. But otherwise, to those who are watching and who have been following, thank you for all your comments. Thank you for all your insights. Inbox us. Please go to our YouTube channel. Check out other stuff that we have there. You know, put in your comments and subscribe and follow the page so that you know whenever we come online. But otherwise, cheers and bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.